We're in.
So this is my first podcast from a car. Every podcast I do is online.
In my car.
Right, so
Borrowed car.
I have noticed now everything is... Basically, humans are going through an evolutionary stage.
Yeah.
They are now realising that you can't just rely on so many other people for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Money, build your house, your car, food, water, sex, in terms of Tinder and dating websites. What's happening is that everything is becoming too much and it's unsustainable. And governments are losing control of the people, and they're trying to save human lives because that's what the majority want. But also they want to kill enough people off so they can gain control of their people. And it's just going to be like a massive big bang where there's just so much energy and no one can cope, and then boom, massive civil war. What do you reckon?
You've certainly thought about that one.
I have.
I don't know how much fact is behind that, but everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you seem to be quite passionate about your opinion. So I can't help but be... I think everything with you, Oliver, the reason I'm on this podcast today is because you are one of the few people I know that sort of sticks your middle finger up to the system, and your tenacity does often shine through when you want something done. Just to let all the listeners know, Oliver's been trying to get on at me to do a podcast with him now for about a year, and won't allow any excuse to sort of hold him back. So I think if you combine that energy with the thoughts that you've just had, for sure you're passionate. I can't say I 100% agree with it, but then again, I that's the first I've heard of it. So I think if I'm to understand a bit more where your thinking comes from, and you know why you think that, then maybe I'll be a bit more swayed in my decision.
So what I always say is, imagine you've got trees. You've got a seed here, a seed here, a seed. Imagine acorns. You've got them spread out. Over time, they will become trees. As they get bigger, they get closer towards each other. And then if there's a fungus on one tree, or that tree catches a light because there's too much sun, it will burn the other trees next to it. Or that fungus will then attach itself to that tree and take that tree down. Then what happens is that all the trees just become... They're fucked. They burn alive, or the bacteria just crumbles it down, and it becomes like a rotted tree stump, and then it becomes mud. And then the cycle starts again. If you look at the Big Bang, loads of energy, boom. Human beings. Too many human beings on a train, they all catch COVID. It's the same as the tree scenario, and then they die. And no man, no medicine is going to change it, because it's only going to get worse, where there's going to be more humans and the same problems. That there's only one way nature fixes itself, which is eliminates the weak, and then the strong win. And as sad as it is, that is just the way life works. And rather than trying to be God, which is what everyone does, you've got to work with nature. And that's what I'm trying to say. There's only one way this can go, unless you divide the countries up, where you have, say, rather than one person in control of 300 million in America, you've got, say, one person in control of California, which is going to be, I believe, another country like Palestine and India, and not Palestine, India, Pakistan, and Palestine and Israel, where there's just too many people fighting for power.
Is that what happened with those?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's the same as Scotland wanting their independence.
Yeah, well, it's the same with, I think the nearest thing to certainly the British listeners would be Northern Ireland and Ireland. They're two different countries.
And like, if there were any country that's ever become a country, it was once like just one tribe, and then they sort of have a power struggle, like in, say, Breaking Bad, or like El Chapo. There's always one person in control, somebody else who wants that control, and then they essentially divide, and they either compete or work together, like two cows in a field, you know, graze on your turf, I'll graze on mine. And if they don't respect each other's territory, boom, they clash, and then there's war. And that's how, like, you know, countries are formed in terms of the rock, where ocean's in the middle, and other countries. I mean, it's inevitable.
Again, when you talk, Oliver, you certainly talk with conviction, and you certainly talk with passion. It's just whether what you're talking about... Look, at the end of the day, you could be right. You could be right. You know, I could be right when I say that the world is going to end in a year, but we won't know that until it comes round. And I think your theory on what's happening may not actually come, you know, to light in our lifetime.
I do agree.
So someone's going to watch this back in a 3D reality in about 100 years from now, and they're probably going to think to themselves that, you know, what on earth was this crazy guy talking about in 2020? It's now 2220, but they were sitting in a car and they were right, or you were right, and I was right about thinking that that's what the scenario is going to be, or even longer. You know, with technology now, and the way it's gone and the way it's going and the world we live in, we will have in 150 to 200 years public speakers that have predicted things, and there will be proof that they predicted those things. You know, you go back 200 years from now, there was no way of tracing and tracking, apart from mouldy documents that could have been forged, what's going to happen in the future. So if you think about it, in 200 years' time, YouTube will have progressed greatly. Everything would have progressed so greatly that there would be evidence of predictions from years prior. And, you know, some of those predictions will be right and some will be wrong. You know, we go back to the global warming scenario as well, which is, you know, a bit of a crazy one. Can we quickly pause it really quickly? And just
Don't pause it, I'll just keep
edit
going.
it. I just have to. Sorry, I'm waiting on some news from someone.
Otherwise I'll have...
Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. Okay.
So something I think about...
Sorry about that, everyone. You're probably going to edit that out, but it's a working day for me as well, so I sort of have to half be... That was rude of me, though.
It's okay. So, something I think about all the time is, with everything now going online, like, I don't know the exact figures, let's just say a third of businesses that weren't online are now online in terms of restaurant, and just rather than going into an office, you work from home. I think if everyone's online, and like when Google went down, YouTube went down, Gmail went down, I have a Facebook account. It was deleted because I was posting too many adverts, and I realised that all my clientele was on Facebook, and I was like, holy shit, I now have depended on this thing, which no longer exists. What happens? What happens when they don't do cash anymore and it's all online? What happens? And
well, it already is. There's an element of that you trust a bank with your money, and there are people that don't use banks, because I only really found out the other day that with a bank, you know, they could lose all your money.
But they haven't got the money.
No, they roll it. They use your money to roll and gamble and float, right?
Yes, it's not actually...
No, it doesn't exist. Nothing exists. And I think as we get older, I now understand, going back to your point, Oliver, you know that crazy old man that sits in the middle of the road and he talks to himself as he's shaking, and he's clearly done too many drugs, and he's on the side of a street and he's mumbling under his breath that, you know, the world's going to end on this date and you're all crazy. It's not until now that I actually kind of... I'm starting to get into those people's heads. You know, when I was younger, all I used to think was, this guy's a nutter. You know, we've been led to believe that they're going to medicate him, but sometimes these crazy people, someone predicted 5 years ago that there was going to be a virus. You know, think, rewind, right? We're in 2020. There's a pandemic going on. We're moving into 2021. There is a virus that is killing not a lot of people, but it's killing enough people for it to change our world drastically. You know, someone predicts that 5 years ago that looks a bit homeless or looks a bit mental because they've been sedated for so long on drugs, predicts that this is going to happen, China are creating a virus. You would think they were a lunatic, would you not? And now look at the position we're in. We're having to discreetly do a podcast in a car while the world crumbles around us, and we're waiting on the Prime Minister of this country to announce what we can and can't do to more of an extreme level than he already is.
So anyone who spends enough time by themselves is normally going to be diagnosed as Autistic Asperger's, right? And all it is that somebody has spent more time in his head working stuff out than allowing the outside and somebody else telling them how the world actually works. So these people are often called crazy because they don't fit in anywhere and they're different. So
crazy is a very easy label to give someone. So people would say you were crazy if you could see what Oliver's wearing on his legs. He's wearing pink trousers. Now, I think they're really cool because I understand Oliver's character. I've known Oliver now for about 10 years. And the first time I ever met the guy, I knew what he was about. He has got more and more wacky over the years. But that wacky doesn't frighten me. I don't feel intimidated by his nuttiness. I embrace it because why not? Why the hell not? And I think going back to your point, labelling someone as crazy... I label someone crazy that settles for the life they're given and doesn't aspire to be anything else. You must be crazy to not want more from your life. You must be crazy to not want to strive forward with your life.
It's like that homeless guy, to me, is not a homeless guy, druggie on the street, you know, who fucked up at school. He's somebody who essentially couldn't afford or didn't want to be part of the system in order to get a mortgage. And that's why he's homeless. He's no different to a monk in a forest, right? Apart from the weather's a bit cold, right?
Yeah.
He's a monk by himself. If he is content and understands why he's in a situation, because he didn't want to get a credit score, didn't want to get a credit card,
He didn't want to get into the
mortgage.
system. He didn't want to get into the rat race of life, which we all get sucked up into and we don't even realise it.
And therefore, he's not part of a system. And actually, I've never been part of the system, right? I'd always worked for myself. And everyone else around you, they get a job, they get a rented apartment, they get a mortgage. And I didn't want any of that. But then I realised, okay, well, I do want a house, I do want to move out. And then I realised the only way to do that is to be part of the system. Like, there's no way, because you go to school, GCSEs, university, credit score, rent. You move in with your parents, they say, fuck off, you're taking too much water, and they want to have sex, but they can't do it. And so they rent. And then you realise, fuck, I'm wasting all this money, why don't I get a mortgage?
True.
And they're fucking trapped, right? And so I realised you are either part of the system or you're not. There's no in between, because to get a house, 300 grand house, you need a mortgage.
300 grand. Well, where are you looking at houses? Because
around here.
You can't pick one up for 300 grand, Oliver. That's
what
the
I'm saying.
point. It starts at $500,000 round here for something that you wouldn't even shit on.
Exactly. So, and then you need a credit to get credit score. You need a credit card, means you've got to borrow and pay back, and then you need a job. So you have to be part of that system to have this life, or you're not. So this homeless guy, he's had enough time by himself, rather than wasting his energy for following what his boss wants, going down the pub talking shit, and he sees
Oliver,
the world.
can I ask you a question?
No, I'm not homosexual. Carry on.
Damn. I just want to ask you, at what point in life do you accept that this is life and this is what I am going to be, and I'm just going to get married? Because one thing that you really impressed me with, Oliver, is you said something to me about 8 years ago. I was going for a bit of a dark spell, and I used to confine in Oliver because he was a bit nutty, and I used to think, this guy will know what I'm on about. And I said, Oliver, do you ever look at a building and think, maybe there's nothing behind that door, only when I enter does the life come? And we're going quite deep here, but it's nice to go deep. I think we all really want to get to the crux of this, right? So I used to suffer with anxiety and derealisation, and I don't talk about it a lot, but I used to have an obsession with driving past a building and thinking, is that building inside completely empty, and only when I enter does it come to life? How do I know that life exists in that building when I'm not there? Okay, prove it to me. Is everything created for me? Am I the only man on this planet? And it's a very selfish way of thinking, and it's not a logical way of thinking, and it's spawned from anxiety. It's not spawned from anything else. It's spawned from an obsession and a thought that you obsess over. Am I correct? You've had many of them. And I couldn't speak to anyone about that because it's fucking weird. You know, you speak to your mate about it and they're like, mate, get another beer and shut up. I spoke to Oliver about it and he was completely and utterly he got it. He said, yeah, I completely get it. He goes, I understand. He said, I delete every single one of my messages and I don't.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I still do that.
I know you do. Because
check my phone.
I know. And I said, why is that then? He said, because I don't want to live in the past. We move forward. And I don't want to, and that's when I thought, Oliver, you are an interesting character. And then another thing you said to me, which was really impressive, you said, I go to bed when it gets dark and I come up with the light. I don't have clocks, I don't have alarms. And I just thought, yeah, this is an interesting way of life. And why should we allow how far life has come along to dictate what direction we finally head in? You know, I think you've got the right idea, Oliver. I think going to bed with the dark and coming up with the light and deleting everything after you've seen it is a good way to be. But in some people's eyes, that would be seen as crazy.
So my email inbox, it's nothing. If it comes in, I delete it or I deal with it immediately.
Right.
My phone contacts, every day's a new day, so I delete the call history, right? It's a new day. If it's going to come back to me, they'll call me. If it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. Facebook, all the messages are either deleted or they're archived if, you know, I need them at a later date, or what I'm dealing with is here. I've had the same mindset. And I don't particularly remember that exact conversation, but I know we had deep conversations about all this other shit.
I think some people would think they were deep at the time. I think they were quite, you go as deep as you want, but for sure, for someone that doesn't appreciate or understand anxiety, they are certainly deep, yeah, for sure.
I'll explain my answer to that. So the building is there. when somebody comes in, they affect the energy. So imagine you've got a celebrity that comes in the building.
I'm going to stop you there, though. And this is for anyone watching this that suffers with anxiety. You don't need to explain anything. This is the beauty of having a brain and a mind. The minute you start to go down the rabbit hole and seek an explanation for every thought that you might have is when you lose the battle with anxiety or you lose the battle with yourself. It deserves no explanation. We have millions of thoughts every single day and they do not deserve an explanation. They just don't. Why am I going to think? I used to drive myself crazy. I'd be like, I've had so many thoughts. Am I the only man on this planet and the world is built for me? Am I seeing out of my eyes? So, for instance, when I see you, Oliver, are you the same Oliver that I saw a year ago? Or are you a different human pretending to be Oliver? Does Oliver change every time I don't see him? These are crazy thoughts. Are you the same Oliver you were when you were a baby? Or do you check? These are deep thoughts, right? They're thoughts that are spawned from boredom and they're thoughts that are spawned from having a very creative mind. They don't deserve an explanation, though. And if you're watching this and you have mad thoughts, stop giving them an explanation. They don't deserve it. Move on. It's a thought. It happens. We live life. Because the minute you start moving on, as hard as it is, and progressing with your own life and not self-divulging into these stupid thoughts you have, the minute it becomes a little bit more leveled out and you don't feel so afraid to go outside. You don't feel so anxious about doing a simple task because you're not questioning it. And I think, that for me, from you, Oliver, you don't need to explain it. When there's no energy, forget the energy for a second. It's a thought, and it's a stupid thought, and it's a thought that will never spawn any positive emotion. So why are we giving it any? Let's talk about real life. What's going on in real life? What's going on in real life? There is a pandemic going on, Oliver, and I want you to tell me right here and right now what is going on and what your prediction is for 2021.
So 2017, I wrote a book, right? It's on Amazon. You can go on my website. It's there. But it was How to Survive the 21st Century. And I wrote a list of all the things that are going to become massive issues. Everything being online, a virus and how we're going to cope, countries, too many people in power, and there's a civil war type of thing, lack of water supply, energy. I wrote the book. You can go online and actually look at it on Amazon. But I predicted there's going to be a fluenza that's going to come along, and it's going to take too long to create a vaccine that will end up wiping out a certain amount of human beings up until then. So you could say I predicted it, or a smart person could say this shit happens and the cycle goes over and over again, which means I'm not smart, I'm just aware, basically. Moving forward, I think that there will be, just like any past flus, any of them, you get a vaccine, so civilization changes for a period of time, and then it slowly, like Bitcoin, when it goes down, it starts to go up a little bit more and a little bit more businesses come alive, and then civilization comes back. Just like when there's a flood in Philippines or tsunami, it fucks up everything and then you rebuild. And then that is just part of life. But in terms of the giving thoughts energy, that's what my Tourette's was. It was always giving that thought a response and then another thought.
Yeah, of course. And it's a never-ending cycle.
It's a never-ending cycle.
And do you know what? I don't mind having habits. I've got very good habits. I get up at the same time most mornings. If not every morning, I set my alarm for 7:15. I go running every day, or at least I go running 5 days out of the 7. I watch what I eat. I don't smoke. I make a habit of playing football twice a week. These are healthy habits that in life you need. Unhealthy habits are procrastination, self-indulgence in thoughts that are stupid, allowing a thought to control your life. That's just absolutely crazy.
So I remember you told me once that you went to the casino and then you wanted to get to £1 million by simply putting, say, tenner on red and just leave it on, and eventually it would get there. Mm-hmm. And I did all those types of things, and eventually, I learned life at the roulette. Because I could apply, I need a system, I need a strategy, I need to be consistent,
of course.
I need to have a plan. That's basically life.
Yeah.
And what I realised is that it all went round in circles. You'd make some money, and then you'd lose it, and you'd go to zero. I think I told you, I spent 24 hours in the casino, just putting 20p.
Yeah, you did this.
Just
yeah.
putting 20p on zero to prove to myself that you can't get ahead of the system. And I remember,
If you think you can beat the casino, you're an idiot.
no, but the system of life.
Yeah.
That you can never really get ahead. There's always highs and there's always lows. And so literally 20p went up to £40 and then it went back down because at night time, when the dealer's tired, they spin really slowly. And when you spin slowly, there's no pattern. And so, therefore, you lost 40 quid. And then it was the morning. Someone's come on shift and boom, boom, boom.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Who leaves Las Vegas a millionaire? This is one for you guys as well. Who leaves Las Vegas a millionaire?
The one who never comes.
Nope. You're going to kick yourself when I tell you.
The bartender, if he stays there forever, I don't know.
A billionaire. You go to Vegas as a billionaire, you're leaving as a millionaire.
Right, got it.
You understand?
You never,
That is the only person that comes back from Vegas a millionaire is a billionaire.
you never
And the
win.
trillionaire will never go to Vegas because there's only a fucking handful of them. We're allowed to swear on this podcast.
Yeah, if that's what you want.
Fuck.
So, yeah.
There's only a handful of them. How many trillionaires are there in the world, would you say? Trillionaire's a trillion. What would you do?
Probably like...
But the thought of it is a trillionaire would never even go to Vegas because it wouldn't interest them because they don't want for more money.
People already
They don't
made
want
all
for
their
more money. And
money.
do you know what? The billionaire probably wouldn't even be there anyway. So I'm going to change that question. I'm going to change that. Who comes back from Vegas with hundreds of thousands of pounds? A millionaire. That's the downgrade of it again, because I don't even think a billionaire would be so stupid. Because if you're going to gamble, you're silly with it. Have a bit of fun with gambling.
See, when I used to gamble, it was never come with loads of cash, get it into chips and throw it on.
You secretly want to lose.
that's
There's that excitement of losing. That's the excitement. The excitement is losing. Deep down, the excitement is losing. Just like when we talk about life, the exciting part of life, for me, is the fact that there is a time limit on it. If you were to live forever, life would never be exciting. Why? How would it be? How would it be? There would never be urgency to do anything. You would never, like I've heard once before, the reason why we love watching films is because there's a start, a middle, and an end. You don't want a film to go on forever, do you?
So I'm looking in my garden and there's bulbs that I planted literally 4 months ago. Now, they're not supposed to come up yet, right? But as you know, climate is changing and it's warmer now than it is then. And I'm now looking at those bulbs, excited for summer to come. If it was summer all the time, then there's nothing to look forward to. As you said, the beginning, middle, of the end allows our brains to keep going for that next stage. It's one of the reasons why I believe that people choose to have a family. It's because they want a purpose in a life that simply has no purpose, right? People, they want to do something. They're fucking bored because if you don't go to work, what are you going to do? Watch TV, go on a walk, go on another walk, have a cup of tea?
Yeah.
There is nothing to do. So having a job takes up literally all your life. So, and then you come home and you've got to tidy the house, and
Of course.
so you're always doing something. But
Before you know it, you're trapped. You get a job as a 22-year-old graduate from university. You save up for a mortgage, or you save up to live on your own, and you save up to move out. You then meet a lady, or you meet a guy. If you're a lady, you meet a guy, and you have a child. You're then in the trap. You're in the trap because you're then having to work, not wanting to work. And then when you start to have to work, the enjoyment comes out of it, the pressure gets increased. And that's where we live at the moment. 80% of the population are in jobs that they don't enjoy, making money they don't spend on themselves. They're spending it on a lifestyle which they probably didn't even really want. And it is a trap. And it's not until you're in that trap you can sort of feel it. It's a system. You're built into a system. As humans, we want to be told what to do and how to do it. And it's not until you're a free thinker, or you think, maybe I'm going to step outside the line just a bit. I'm going to colour just outside the lines. That is when you start to grow up. That's when you start to smell what freedom smells like. And I'm an entrepreneur. I've had jobs and I did not fit into the system. I simply didn't fit into the system. And Oliver, I know you're the same as well.
so this is what I think about all the time, right? Everything in life is trade. You trade time, service, a product for something else. So if they want you to cut the grass and you're happy with a cabbage, then give them a cabbage, right? So in life, we need money to pay for something that requires money. Most of that stuff is a house that somebody else has built, or a bank that's lent you the money so you can have it now because you're impatient or haven't got enough time to save up 300k for the future. You and me both live at home, right? Now, in order to move out and be free forever, we'd either have to have enough money to buy a house. That is the only option. There's no point renting, you're paying his bills. So you have to buy a house. And if you go middle of nowhere, where there's a fucking cabin for, say, 80 grand, reality, to live with our family and friends, you need to say, generously 300 grand. Realistically, if to make 300 grand, how long would it take with our qualifications or just a normal job to make 300 grand? A long time. And you wouldn't be able to do anything. No life, no car, no gym membership, no food, because all that money will wipe out half of that immediately. So you'd have no life for 20 years. Okay, so now you're 50, you've got your house, you need to buy furniture, you need your internet, you need your TV, the TV goes out of date next year, so you need to get another one. That's before you've even got your fucking food. That's before having children. So when you look at it like that, you realise that the system is where you either are part of the system or you're not. And so you only need to work to get money to pay for something else which requires money. If you're not trading anything else, let's just say that you've got your house, you don't need any bills because you've got a generator that provides you electricity and water. You have your own vegetable crops in your garden. You've got your food. Okay. Your friends, they can pick you up. You can walk to them. Do you need money? No. People work to get money.
Yeah.
And they're not even spending the money or enjoying the money, as you were saying.
Yeah, they don't spend the money to enjoy the money. They make money, and because their life is trapped them in a position in which they need to make money, they're often, and that's where you lose the enjoyment for your job, and you lose enjoyment for having aspirations, because if you can't taste what that money is going to feel like, and you can't start spending it in your head on things that excite you, why do you want to strive for more in life? That's why you have so many people that just settle. They're just settled for their 3 pints a night with their friends at the pub, or their can of beers in front of the TV. They go to bed, they wake up, they do it all again. And that's a great life for you if you're happy doing it. If you enjoy that, I cannot say. The only thing in life which I won't stand for is people that are living a lie. If you enjoy having a family and fending for your family and going to work every day and spending money on bills and you get that reward from supporting your family, brilliant. Do it, fabulous, fair play to you. I haven't had that feeling, and I don't want it yet, because I want to progress. I want to do my own thing. But if you're young and you are in that system and you're enjoying it, great. My problem is the people that aren't enjoying it, and that develops mental health. They then become depressed. They become anxious. They worry. They worry that the worry of losing that job keeps them up at night. That's what concerns me, and that's why I think a lot more people need to be brave in their decisions to step away from stuff that they don't enjoy and say, look, this isn't for me. I appreciate I've got family to support, but I want to go and learn a new trade. I want to go and learn something new. I know people that have been in the same job for 20 years. 20 years, and they don't enjoy it, and they drink themselves stupid at the weekend to escape reality. And that is not a healthy place to be. So if you're watching this podcast and you're one of those people, then it's on you to have that hard, long look at yourself in the mirror and think, right, I know I've got a family. Does this suit me, though? I need to be me. You only get one life. Make sure that you're really, really pushing the limits on what you can do within that life.
See, people in our country, gypsies have a bad name, right?
Okay.
And that's because they are not part of the system and they do what they want. I actually love, admire, and are fascinated by the lifestyle and the culture of gypsies, because they don't have any bills to pay. They're content in their, say, caravan. They've got family and community. They've got land. They've got plenty of money. And the children, they are basically free from zero, right? You could say, oh, that's bad parenting. Where's the discipline? Well, if you look at how we are with the system and telling our kids no and how they turn out versus the gypsy kid who's a nightmare to control, but when they get older are often business people. You could say right or wrong way, regardless. They're business people. They know how to communicate with people. They make their money and they serve the people who do it the right way.
We're back.
Right, gone.
We lost it a bit. You would have heard the audio on that anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, what I think it's crazy is how people are, like the moral of the story is never feel sorry for an animal that you think might look bored standing in a field on its own, because that is what they are put on this planet to do, and they're fulfilling their needs. That's why you'll never see a depressed cow, because we're not doing what we were put on this planet to do, because no one really knows what we were put on this planet to do. And there's so many avenues to go down as a human that you will never be the perfect, complete human, will you? If you think the perfect and complete human is someone that makes loads of money and keeps really fit, then you will have someone that disagrees with that. And the perfect human to them would be someone that has no financial worries and is living eating grass and drinking tap water. You know, there's no correct way to live a life, is there?
No, so I always use that cow analogy as part of life. Cows and animals, like that squirrel running up a tree, he's enjoying himself, he's eating his nut, he's chasing other squirrels, he's living his life. You look at that bird, he's just sitting on the fence, and the cow in the field, he's just grazing. Like, they don't have anything else to do, that's all that they've known. And you look at a human being, we're the unhappy ones, and as you said, well, look at that cow thinking, dumb, stupid cow, just eating the grass, like, fucking that's bored.
Yeah.
You're comparing it to our life, and there is no purpose to anything. And, there's no such thing as disease. I always say, don't get a cow that has cancer or heart disease or stroke or has autism or has Crohn's or anything, because these are man-made things that we've done from our lifestyle and we've eaten and our thoughts. We've fucked our own selves up. And I said, you never see a fucking cow just, sorry cow, but you've got cancer, stage 4 lung disease. It's like, what the fuck is that? Fuck off, meet my grass.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think cows can get cancer though, can't they?
Cancer is just like the destruction of cells. So
right.
Yeah, if a cow just sits there in the dark and is depressed and starts eating mold, and yeah, he could get cancer. But
is cancer something that? Well, I know this. I'm a personal trainer as well, and I know that cancer is certainly something that can be spawned. People. Look, there is a genetic element to cancer which you just can't do anything about, right? If you're genetically unfortunate and you get cancer, that's very sad for you, and it's an unfortunate thing. But there is also ways of developing the cancerous cells, right? So smoking, drinking, not sleeping properly, eating shit. These are all things that develop the cancerous cells. Eating red meat as well, I think, is another one, is it?
So yeah, all those stuff create cancer in a non-cancerous body. But I've got to correct you. Cancer is not genetic and hereditary.
It's not.
No, you can ask me a question, but it's not. Nothing. Essentially every newborn is a clean whiteboard.
Right.
Cancer, if your nan had heart disease, cancer, stroke, whatever, it's not genetic. If you follow the same patterns that they were in, for example, if your great nan ate spam, right, and lived by an electricity pole or train track, right, or had loads of wine, and then your mother sees her mother do that, so she does the same thing,
right.
And then her kids see the same thing. You're all doing the same thing, eating the same, drinking the same, watching the same shitty negative news, moaning about life. You're in the same pattern, which means your body and your state of how your cells vibrating are in that same pattern. So they're going to get cancer, stroke, heart disease, whatever. But those cancers and the diseases were created by thoughts and environment and diet. Nobody changed the pattern. So yeah, the generation will get that disease, but that's because they follow the same patterns. If her nan fed her this, then you're going to feed your kids this. If you have potatoes with goose fat, right? Because your nan gave you potatoes with goose fat, and it's actually the potatoes that you shouldn't be eating, or the goose fat was too fatty, you're going to have a heart disease. Oh, nan had a heart attack. Oh, that's why my daughter... Nothing is genetic, right? There is certain things that are a certain blood condition and a bone condition, but the diseases like cancer, stroke, heart disease, diabetes, Crohn's, eczema, we're following the patterns. And because we think that it's genetic, and nan died at 50, well, I'm going to die at 50, I might as well fucking just not give a shit now. Then you're going to fucking die at 50 because you're not doing anything to change the patterns. So yeah, there's no such thing as genetic disease. It's called epigenetics, if anyone wants to do their homework.
What are your views on alcohol?
I believe that it's not the alcohol that kills the person, it's their own depression from which the alcohol has essentially numbed them from feeling. So if an alcohol drinks bottles of whiskey every day, but floods himself with 4 litres of water every single day, his livers aren't going to fail, right? Just like a happy smoker. I know somebody who was 95, happiest person ever, smoked her whole life, and didn't even die of smoking, right? Because every time they smoking killed off cells, her happiness regenerated them. If a person who's drinking alcohol has a great diet and drinks a lot of water, it floods out the toxins, which would have fucked up the livers in the first place. But if somebody just drinks alcohol, then your body's not getting rid of the waste that it needs to in order to function, and that's what kills people. So it's not the alcohol, it's their body malfunctioning from not having what it needs in the first place, because that's basically it. They don't have it's like I call it giving Coke or milk to a plant.
Okay.
You can't do that. Your body needs water. If you can drink loads of carrot juice or smoothies, or let's just say fucking almond milk, right? Your livers will malfunction the same as it would alcohol. And alcohol is just, for example, wine, it's just grapes.
Yeah.
Right? Vodka is fermented, whatever the fuck it is.
Potatoes, isn't it?
grains or some shit, yeah? Beer is just wheat and yeast, which is basically bread. So it's not that's killing us. It's our own body malfunctioning because we haven't given it what we need, or we are removing that feeling of something is wrong from the alcohol, like, anxiety of, fuck, I killed Nan, but no one else knows about it. And that destroys you, that nervous energy that's actually there, that you don't know is there because of the alcohol. It's not the alcohol that kills you, it's your own body.
Okay, interesting. And let's call out the elephant in the room here. I think all the viewers and the listeners will want to talk about this subject. I think it's the subject on everyone's lips. What do you think, when do you think the world will get back to normal again?
I don't. So if you think about evolution, right? Elon Musk is looking at Earth thinking, fucking humans, I'm going to Mars, right? If there was aliens and spacecraft, they are essentially Elon Musk's 2,000 years ago. So they built their pyramids, they built their caves, they built their tombs. There was a flu pandemic, there was flooding or whatever. And just like Elon Musk, but say 2,000 years ago, they fuck off to space. And if there's spaceships floating around thinking, dumb humans, look what they're doing to the planet, we made that mistake. That's Elon Musk going to Mars with a telescope looking down at us thinking, dumb humans. It's the same cycle, if there is that same cycle. Do I think that everything just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? Or is there a reset? If you look at storms, it wipes out the dinosaurs. If you look at anything in life, there's loads of trees, and as they get close together, and then there's a disease or there's a fire and it burns. Everything resets and recycles. But you've got to reach the peak. Bitcoin goes to the top and then it drops. Nothing keeps going. So will civilization go back to what it was? Companies, Amazon, restaurants, McDonald's, all over the place serving humans. It can't last. You go into McDonald's now, there's fucking chaos. Now you've got delivery drivers causing more chaos because there's too many people.
Oh, it's a free-for-all.
It's like, fucking just give them what they want, give them the refund, don't even question it. They bring back a fucking noodles from another restaurant, just give them a refund for the burger. There's just money, vultures. That carcass will run out at some point. I don't think it's going to go back to how it was. It will be similar, but it'll just be local shops, local trading, rather than going to Tesco's, who then goes to fucking Peru to get the bananas. It'll just be Maureen making jam in her garden. Would you like some jam, Maureen? And you walk there. You have to fucking travel miles, you need petrol in a car.
It is interesting because we've seen life.
And it's happened so quick.
We've seen life the other way, and we got so accustomed to going to London, getting what you want on tap, being able to go and spend thousands of pounds having the best lobster in the country, and being able to. And I think what's now happening is, we're certainly being stripped back of all of our sort of devices, and we're left to sort of fend for ourselves. People keep comparing this year to being like in a horror movie, and I can't disagree with them too much. There is an element of it that feels like you're in a bit of a horror movie.
Yeah, but if you think about what life was, even for our parents, like I said, my mum said she didn't even have electricity, and she lived fucking down the road.
Yeah.
She said she remembers going in the shower and it's freezing. She comes out. They have to sit by the fire, And I think, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine getting out the shower freezing cold, like even pubs, like the Hatchet. Their toilets outside, right? People used to go shit outside. I'm thinking, how can you shit in the freezing cold?
I know.
How the fuck can you take a shit in the cold? Right? And, I mean, so we have only seen, like, this life is non-existent, like 20, 30 years. Our parents didn't have it, and you go back thousands of years.
Well, we're not on the planet for a very long time. I think when you really get to the crux of it, you will never be around to see a lifestyle shift. It really, I think, and we're quite fortunate to be seeing a lifestyle shift. Bar the Second World War, I think since then there has been nothing that really turns this country on its head. There's been a few pandemics, there's been the swine flu, there's been the Ebola that came over, but these weren't like this. This is different because this is so obviously easily contagious. But it really is one of those things that I just feel that you can either embrace it and grow with it. And what I mean by that is I was an events organiser a year ago. The pandemic hit and I retrained and became a personal trainer. And I'm now teetotal. I don't drink. I'm health conscious. And I wasn't before. So this has sort of woke me up a bit. Or you can roll over and die, which is what people are doing as well. They're becoming more dependent on alcohol. They're becoming more abusive in the house. Domestic abuse has gone up crazy amounts. Suicide rates have gone up because if you're not a positive thinker, there is nothing on this planet at the moment that's positive. There is absolutely nothing on this planet at the moment that is positive in the slightest. So and if there was, the news wouldn't broadcast it because they want negativity. They want to spread fear. They want to sell newspapers by saying the headline, more deaths from COVID in a week than a month. They want that. That's what they aim for. You know, bad news sells newspapers, good news doesn't. Simple as that. You have a headline that is bad, you're selling double the amount of newspapers than if you had a headline that was good. So, you know, there really is that element of you either wake up and you roll with it, and that takes a lot to do. That takes a lot to do, especially when you're constantly getting battered down. And you wake up and you roll with it. Or, yeah, you roll over and you accept that this is life, and you accept that the job you had is no longer, and you accept that you've got to just settle for second best, and then you become more depressed. You become more dependent on alcohol. You become more dependent on cigarettes. You become more dependent on narcotic drugs, which is what people are doing. So that's what my issue with the whole thing is.
So I don't watch the news, right? Haven't watched the news for a very long time. Okay, turn off the news, right? Go for a walk. So now your mindset either sees beauty in nature and squirrels running around and life and birds tweeting, and you see dogs walking and cows in the field. You look at the sun, the trees. That is an amazing feeling. Or you can go at home, sit on your couch, listening to the news about how many deaths around the world, fucking pandemic, Boris Johnson, all this type of shit. It's a choice. It's a conscious choice. Now, you know, reality, there is no such thing as reality. It's how we perceive the same thing as somebody else. So there is no life's coming to an end, or, you know, my life is never going to be the same. That's based on a perception of what life was, based on what you thought it was or should be.
No, I agree. I agree with you completely. And you make a fair point. And as I say, we could sit here and talk about this all day. But I think we would just be going round in circles. Let's finish on this one then. Let's finish on a subject because we could be here all day. What do you feel the biggest thing that we would take from this experience is going to be as the human race? Do you think that we're going to be more health conscious? Do you think that we're going to... Oh, actually, forget that. Forget that question. What are your views on the vaccine? Let's call out the elephant in the room. The vaccine we've all heard about. What is going on with that? What do you think on it? Have you got any facts on it? What is your opinion on it? Tell me.
So when we get a foreign pathogen in our body fights it, right? And once we recognise what it is, next time we can fight it. So the symptoms are your body fighting it. It's like Mexican and American border force, they're fighting. If America's got lots of troops, then it takes down the Mexicans and they win. If it's equal and they've, you know, got the same amount, then there's going to be war.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what these symptoms are. A flu is you get a small version of that foreign pathogen, whatever, put it into your body, not enough where there's it's going to take you down, right? But then your body recognises the cow. Remember what that Mexican was, what he looked like, and how he snuck into America, yeah? And so now you can take it down without the symptoms. That's all the vaccine is.
Okay.
I had it, so I've got what I call the purest form of it. It's like you take a vitamin C tablet, or you can just have a banana off a tree. There's far more nutrients in that banana than a vitamin C tablet. Now, it tricks your body into believing that it's got the vitamin C, but you get more from the pure original thing. That's all a vaccine is you are protected without the symptoms. Or you can actually get, for example, a flu, feel the symptoms, and the protection's still the same.
And it gives you the illness. Does the vaccine give you...
It just takes, for example, 5% of the real thing, puts it in your body sees it as a threat, it builds up the antibodies to fight it. But as I said, let's just say 100% of COVID comes in your body, or now you've got like a war against this thing that wants to take you down. That's what the symptoms are. The vaccine of anything is just given a small amount, your body recognises there's a threat, it's got enough troops, 100 troops, for example, to one COVID antibody, and boom, it takes it down, but it remembers how it came in, what it was, what it looked like for next time. It's the same thing. You do not need to have a vaccine if you've had it.
Yeah.
And my mum's the same. She's like, oh, she's going to get the vaccine. I'm like, do you understand? We've already had it. Do you understand what the vaccine is?
I agree. And
she's like, we don't know much about it. It's like fucking common sense. Do you understand? She thinks it's the cure.
No, I appreciate that, Oliver. What I'm saying to you is that I feel that, they contradict themselves, because if you've had it, then your body, you should never be, the reason why we get the flu and we can get it again, because there are different strains of the flu, right? Correct. The reason the common cold is never the same common cold. It's the common cold +1, the common cold, the common cold ZXYZ, the common cold 1289. It's never just the common cold. But if this is COVID-19 and it is just COVID-19, it's one strain, then if you've had it, you're against it, you're immune to it. But if it's not, then we're in trouble. If it's not, if it recreates and mutates itself, then we're in serious trouble, right?
Yeah, it'll just be the same as a normal flu, where you have to create another vaccine as an upgrade.
Yeah, and then before you know it, you're powered on vaccines.
Or you, like a normal cold and flu, you get the symptoms, and your body just creates a stronger immune. And just because you're fighting off, say, COVID, doesn't mean like you are creating a good immune system to recognise anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's Ebola, malaria, COVID, a normal seasonal flu. If you just rely on vaccines, your body's not doing any work. So it's good to get you. It's like going to the gym and having lifting loads of weights, having a good spar boxing match. You may get punched in the face, but now you're ready for a fight. If it actually happens, So I do not want to be reliant on man forever. Like people who go and get fake teeth, like denters, or they file their teeth down. I'm like, do you understand that? What if there's no dentist? What if you can't afford insurance? What if your tooth comes out and there's a waiting list? Like now, this fucking dentists are closed.
Yeah.
You've now got a filed tooth. It's not there. And so relying on man is dangerous. And we have everything we need.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Right, we're going to finish on this one then. Let's have one more. We're going to finish on this, and we'll give my opinion and you give your opinion. Joe Biden. You have a lot of American listeners. You said you had a lot of
Pretty
Canadian.
much all American.
All American. Let's talk about something that will be relative to them. Joe Biden, what are we thinking? Is it the best of a bad bunch? Do you know enough about it?
So Joe Biden, in the next 2 years or less, he will step down and Pamela, whatever her name is, Pamela Harrison, will become the first woman president.
Really?
And then Trump will get back in. Yeah.
Really? You think Trump's going to get back in?
He'll either get back in legally through the courts in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
If he doesn't...
Why? Is that because he claims that the voting system was unfair and...
I don't speak politics, but he will get back in the next 4 years through legal action.
Okay.
Or if he doesn't, because it might take a long time, he will actually run and get back in.
Has he got the energy to do that, though?
He does have the energy. He will be about 78, but you've got to understand that it's not about the age of the body, it's the age of the mind.
Yes.
My mum, for example, she's 55, has a biological age of a 38-year-old.
Yeah.
So which means when my mum's 100, she's actually 70. And if you look at 70-year-olds, they're actually 90 in terms of biological age.
Yeah.
So his age is irrelevant as long as his brain can function.
Of course.
My
thoughts on it are he's too old.
Who, Biden?
Yep. I think that he is a great senator, whatever he was before. Do I think he's got what it takes to be the president? No. I think that Donald Trump is going to give him hell. And I feel that because he's come in and Donald Trump is going to kick up such a stink that the country is still going to remain divided even when he is in power. And I think that people are going to still support Donald Trump. And with the money that Donald Trump has, he's still going to act as the president. I think he's still going to do things that promote the fact that he's the president. He's going to still run local area-based schemes that I think we're going to see the country divided. No one has the energy to go up against Trump when he was in power. They just rolled over and thought, you know what? Let him do it. Trump won't watch on as someone else runs the country that he's had a taste of. That's my logic with it.
I do agree. Anything you want to promote? Websites, social medias right now?
No, absolutely not. Follow me on Instagram at Josh_the_PT. And I will be on one of these again with you, I guess, let's do another one in 3 months and let's see where the progression is.
Right, I'm going to stop it there.